Let's deny some energy with Torkoal V. Welcome back, everyone, to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch, and today I'm going to take a look at Torkoal V, a bit of an energy denial list for us here. It's a little bit slower, it's a little bit more methodical. We're going to try and stop our opponent from playing the game and then eventually win through attrition. So it's a little bit of a different game style to the decks that we usually feature on the channel. But if you like what you're seeing, if you like what I'm doing, then please head down below, give us a subscribe. That would be great, really appreciate it. And like the video whilst you're down there as well. I'd really appreciate seeing all the people come past, liking, commenting, doing all that good stuff. So if you can, if you feel the goodness in your heart to do that, that would be fantastic. We'll jump across onto PTCGO now and take a look at the deck. So this 60 cards is the Torkoal V list that we're going to take a look at, and it is based around trying to get the second attack from Torkoal V off as often as possible. Steam Crush for 4 energy deals 120 damage, and then we discard 2 energy from our opponent's active Pokemon. That's pretty good considering lots of Pokemon in play at the moment have large attack costs and several of them can't accelerate energy. So think about things like Eternatus. They have to manually attach multiple energy to try and get their attacks off. We can half hit them with 120 damage and then also remove 2 of their attachments, which is very, very strong. We also have Combustion Pillar, which is the first attack for 3 energy, does 90, plus 90 more if you discard the top card of your deck and it is a fire energy. You have to discard regardless. But if it is a fire energy, you get to do some extra damage. That's not going to be our number one go-to attack. We're going to try and Steam Crush instead, try and get that as our main damage output. We also have 4 copies of Volcanion. We've got Flare Startle, which we want to use on our second turn, and we always want to go second to accelerate 3 energies from our deck to our Pokemon in play however we like. We also have access to Heat Blast, High Heat Blast, that can deal 50 to 110 damage depending on your circumstances. Finally, our last Pokemon is Cramorant, whatever you want to call it. Beak Catch and Spit Shot, very powerful attacks. Spit Shot specifically can take out 2 prizes on a Dedenne quite comfortably. We are running a Greens engine for this deck. We've got no Pokemon with abilities, so Greens Exploration is always a live supporter for us. We can use it to search our deck for any 2 trainer cards. We're going to try and find cards to help us build our attackers up, and one of the ways we can do that is through Welder. We've got 4 copies of this to attach 2 fire energies to our Pokemon, 2 fire energies to one of our Pokemon, draw 3 cards. That would be fantastic. When we can't use Welder, we may as well be using Professor's Research. There's 2 of those, and we've got 2 copies of Boss as well for Gust, which is great. An extra Gust in Great Catcher as well, so we've got 3 potential Gust options, and if we can't find any of those supporters, we've got 4 copies of Pokégear as well to look at the top 7 cards of our deck and grab a supporter from there. We don't really need to search out Pokemon as much considering the fact that we have Greens Exploration. As long as we can play that card, we should be fine. There are 3 Quick Ball in this deck. We want to make sure that we've got a Torkoal V down or a Volcanion on the first turn of the game, but apart from that, we don't need to worry too much. We'll be able to find what we need elsewhere. We also have 2 copies of Switch, just in case we need to move something out of the active to get our attack off on turn 1, if we're trying to use Volcanion. 2 copies of Switch, again, because we can search them out with Greens. We fill in some of those slots that we're missing cards with things like Energy Spinner to search for multiple energy on our first turn if we go second. We also have Giant Hearth as well, which can find 2 fire energies as a stadium. Our other stadium in the deck is Power Plant, so if we want to stop things like the Dedenne from being used, we can play down this card. We also have Fire Crystal to find energy from the discard pile, and we have Crushing Hammer to discard more of our opponent's energy, which would be fantastic. Tool Scrapper, the last card that we have in the list. We want to get rid of pesky tools that could be annoying, and 2 copies of Reset Stamp as well to stamp our opponent probably down to 3 cards, possibly down to 1. Finally, Cape of Toughness. There are 3 copies of this card in the deck. Gives our Torkoal an extra 50 HP. And this card has 210 HP on it already, so that goes up to 260. and for every heat fire energy we attach on top of that, we get another 20 HP. So theoretically, we could have a Torkoal that has 340 HP. Not likely though. We might be looking at maybe 280 or something like that, which is pretty good for a 2-prize attacker. What I'll do is I'll jump out onto the ladder now, see if I can't get some games with this deck. It's a bit slow, so you'll have to bear with me, but when we start discarding energies, there's not too much our opponent can do. Game time on the ladder. We are playing against, it looks like an electric deck here. We'll try and flip heads. We want to go second if we can. Our opponent hopefully will choose to go first, as lots of people do, so we shouldn't be in too bad of a spot, but it is worth remembering that we may sometimes find it a little bit difficult if we do go first. Hello to you, my friend. We'll give you the little hello. There you go. We've found a perfect start here. We have Torkoal and we have Volcanion. I won't bother putting the Torkoal down because people don't tend to disrupt hands early. We don't want to give our opponent any knowledge as to what we're playing because they might start attaching Pokemon energy to Pokemon in ways that they wouldn't if they knew that we were playing Torkoal. So we're going to hide that information, maybe force our opponent to think that we're playing, I don't know, maybe like a Center Scorch, which is pretty common at the moment. We've got the Fire Energy in hand. Green's Exploration as well will help us find whatever else we need. We've got Torkoal as well. We are in a really, really good spot for that Flare starter on turn 2. We'll just have to wait and see here. What is it that our opponent is playing? They're playing Evo Incense and they're grabbing a Alolan Sandslash. That's a very interesting selection. We could be seeing a Mewtwo list here. Here comes a Cherish Ball. Yes, it is Mewtwo and Mew. Now, this could potentially be that Water Mewtwo list that has been floating around. There's a Water Energy and a Quick Ball. So, hopefully we don't get punished by having to face off against a water attacker. Normally these decks don't have a basic water attacker as such, but that Sandslash could very easily be annoying, that GX attack. Can't remember how much damage it is, whether it's 100 or 110, but it's a lot to put on every Pokemon on our field. Someone in the comments down below let me know. Also, whilst you're down there, since I'm waiting for my opponent to take their time with their first turn, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, do that kind of stuff. Oh, I have a new Freemake update. That's very annoying, but I'm gonna leave that in because why not? It'll go away. Why are we being reset stamped? What? Okay. This is annoying. I mean, we've got energy. I hope that Freemake thing goes away. What even is Freemake? Why do I have it? There it goes. It disappeared. That was interesting. We've got ourselves a turn now. Let's play... Oh, I think we've got to play greens, right? We've got to find... we've got to play greens to find a Quick Ball. We've got one of those here. I don't know. What else do we need? Like, Cape of Toughness could be useful. We've got energy. We've got Giant Hearth as well. What do we get? Like Crushing Hammer? Do we try and flip away this energy? That could be worth doing. You could grab like... You could grab Research maybe? Oh my gosh. Maybe just another greens? Maybe a Hearth? Maybe a Switch? I think I'll grab the Switch because that way if we do survive, we can at least guarantee that we're going to be able to get into our attacker. We will discard the Volcanion with Giant Hearth. That will allow us to grab, discard one of these fire energies to grab the Torkoal with Quick Ball. This is fantastic, and it also means that now we've got flexibility with which attachment we use. We could use Heat Fire, but I don't think we need to. I think we can just use the basic here. We'll flip this coin, see if we can get heads. We don't. That's disappointing. And then Flare Starter will accelerate that energy. That's fantastic. The only bad thing about this play here is actually we've left ourselves in a position where if our opponent knocks out our active Volcanion, then we will need to Welder to draw cards. So hopefully, it's not the end of the world. Now, there's an Aurora Energy on that Mewtwo here, a Raichu in the discard pile, and a Tapu Koko Prism. So we are facing off against what can only be described as a very interesting Mewtwo list here. I'm seeing more and more of these crazy wild Mewtwo lists floating around, so Hopefully we don't get punished. We might just be able to punish our opponent here, because if they... Oh, they've got a Mania, so we don't have that Welder anymore. Or the Switch, which is disappointing. Hopefully we can find, like, greens again. We've got Welder. That's acceptable, I suppose. And a Torkoal, which is important. That is important. What was I saying? This is like an ultimate Mewtwo list, because there's a Vileplume. This is all very, very interesting. But we are going to be able to get rid of the 2 energy on this Mewtwo and Mew here, which is very, very impressive. Oh, and we can use this Fire Crystal to grab the energies out of the discard pile. We can discard this Fire to find another, then Fire Crystal for all 3 of those Fire energies back, which is great news. We can play down the Torkoal. We can weld it to that Torkoal on the bench now. Give us a bit of a shot if we need to have another attacker, which is great. We've got a Power Plant to turn off the abilities of this Mewtwo, and we're going to remove all of the energy with Steam Crush. There is not a huge amount that our opponent can do about that, and yes, a big gasp face indeed. We could potentially be safe for a turn here because of that Power Plant. Looks like they're attaching energy to the Salamence V. Another interesting card here. Oh, we've top decked a boss. I like the idea of getting rid of this energy on this Salamence, so let's do that. Let's Steam Crush, because it's about removing options for our opponent, right? It doesn't matter whether we actually take knockouts, it's about stopping our opponent from attacking us. So if they don't have access to that energy, then that's all good. They've passed, perfect. I think we are well on the way here. Steam Crush will take 2 prizes, and we will be able to get ourselves 1 step closer to winning. It's always a good sign. We don't have a lot going on in our hand, but our opponent can't do anything. They need to replace the Power Plant to Dedenne. They need to replace the Power Plant to attack. So no matter how many energies they get attached to this Mewtwo, they still won't be able to attack. There's a concession. Fair enough. That would have been a tough one. Let's play another game. 2 games with Torkoal. The first one was a little short, so depending on how this goes, we might play another one at the end of this. We've won the coin flip. I want to go second. We're playing against the Fire deck box, which is a bit concerning. Oh, again, we've found the perfect start. We've got Volcanion, and we've got Torkoal. Will we play it down? They're going to stamp us again? I don't think so. I do not think so. They don't have a basic, so they're going to be shuffling up. We can see they've got a whole bunch of fire energy there. So we could be playing a Center Scorch deck. Not sure what other fire decks are floating around. Oricorio. This could be like Baby Blacephalon, maybe? Maybe? I'm not sure. I don't know. We're seeing an Intrepid Sword here, which is not an amazing start. Oh, that's okay. We can just play down this Torkoal. We can attach the Toughness Cape, attach an energy to the active. We might actually just flip this coin here and see if it works. It does. Perfect stuff. Now they can't retreat. We will Flare Starter, put 3 fire energies onto the Torkoal, and go from there. This is a little bit awkward, though, because if we are playing Baby Blacephalon, they could very easily run over the top of us. I think these Toughness Capes might be very important if that is the case. Giant Hearth from our opponent, and a discard of a fire energy. I'll grab 2 more. The question is, are they going to be able to do anything? It doesn't look like it. Just going for another Intrepid Sword. Interesting. Well, I think we attached to the... Oh, I should have attached to the active. Should have attached to the active. Let's just grab a Volcanion here. We're about to burn this hand away anyway. Let's just research. Should have attached to the active because now I have to find a switch to attack. And, of course, I don't find one. So I get punished. We'll play down the Cramorant. We'll stamp. Then I think I just have to... I mean, I could Flare Starter. That's true. So I'll do that. We'll get 1 energy and attach it. I think I get attach it to Cramorant. That seems fair. I would have liked to have High Heat Blasted there. Should have attached to the active. Error. Indeed. But that's okay. It's not the end of the world. We've got a turn here. And we actually have a knockout on Zacian next turn if they don't knock us out, which is very good. It is Baby Blacephalon that we're playing against. Okay, so we'll see whether they've got access to any of their support cards. Maybe they've got like a Welder or 2 stocked away. We have to remember as well, if we take a knockout on any of our opponent's Pokemon, Oricorio will be able to trigger, so we don't want that. that could be awkward. Dedenne, there's a Welder. Alright, so they are going here. And I would imagine that they'd be able to get a knockout on a Volcanion. There's the third energy. They've discarded one to grab another two. So they almost certainly have the knockout here. They just need to retreat and then use... Oh, they're retreating into Jirachi, okay. Obviously have a switch in hand as well. Means their entire hand is like energy and switch, because there's no way that you do that without having access to a switch. Surely not. A Welder. Fine. Fine. What are we doing here? What's going on? It's taking some time. What's going on? There is nothing happening. Intrepid Sword. Well, that was a thrilling 30 seconds of television, I'll tell you what. Okay. This is an interesting situation. We can Energy Spinner and find an energy. I'll attach that to Volcanion before I forget. Now we can take the knockout on the Jirachi, which means that we leave ourselves open to a knockout from that Blacephalon, or we could do like a big gust play on like Zacian or something, or we could do a big gust play on the Blacephalon, take knockout there as well. I think I'll just play the greens. I'm not going to say I'm happy to, but I'm almost happy to just take the knockout on the Jirachi. We probably don't need Crushing Hammer here. I'd rather this Great Catch, or maybe Power Plant actually, just to stop our opponent from being able to use their Oricorio to draw cards. We'll play down Power Plant, we'll reset Stamp. I think it's 6 cards, which is annoying, but we get to High Heat Blast. We'll take the first knockout. And now, if they attack with Blacephalon, we can even it back up, which would be great. They'll need to discard 3 energy from hand to get that Volcanion knocked out. And if they do that, then we can put the Torkoal in the active. That has 260 HP at the moment, which is 6 energy to knock out for 2 prizes, which I really, really like. I also want to leave the Dedenne on the bench for later for this Cramorant. So what we can... Oh, there's a Marshadow. They're going to get rid of Power Plant. That's a bit disappointing. That's okay. As long as the Torkoal survives, we can still win this game, right? Because we attach to Cramorant, we bosses out the Zacian and knock that out with Torkoal. Then we can use Cramorant to knock out Dedenne on the bench. There's 3 energy being discarded off of the Blacephalon, so they take the knockout. Do I risk it and take the 2 prizes on Zacian here? I don't think so. I think I'd just like attach to Cramorant. Got like greens for Stamp. I don't really need to though. I'll just take the knockout. No, I should greens. I shouldn't do anything silly. Let's see. Oh, we can't even grab another Stamp. I'll grab a Welder in that case, and may as well grab a... I like Fire Crystal, let's grab that. Because then we can at least use Welder next turn without having to play down the Giant Hearth. We don't want our opponent to have access to that. We'll take a knockout on the Blacephalon and go down to 4 prizes. Now, our opponent needs a massive, massive hand here, massive turn, but since they have access to Oricorio still, they can get it. So I'm a little bit concerned, frankly, but that's okay. As long as everything works out for the best, we should be okay. They need to find 6 energy to discard plus 3. They need to find 9 energy, Welder, Blacephalon, and switch. And they don't have access to half yet. Dedenne comes into the active. Let's see how we go here. Oh my goodness. Quick Ball. That'll find a Blacephalon if they want one. There it is. I think there was a Welder in their hand from memory. Here comes Dance of Tribute. So there's an extra 3 cards. They still need 9 energy. Giant Hearth will get them 2. There's 1. There's a discard of a fire to get 2 more fires. So this is positive. And just an Intrepid Sword. Okay. I think we just won this game. I feel like we just won the game. Because we can, like... Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh my god. Oh my god, why did I do that? I should have just bossed the Zacian. Alright, I'll have to switch now. Let's use Cramorant, everyone. Let's get rid of this energy if we can. We can't, okay. Let's just play Pokégear a bunch of times. We'll see what we can find. Greens is fine. We can play another Pokégear. We'll just thin it out. Boss is fine. Maybe if I've got 2 of them in my hand, I won't forget to play it. I also want to attach this Heat Fire to the Torkoal to make it just that little bit harder to knock out. Not that it's hard to knock out at the moment. And we will take a knockout on the DAA, discard all of the energy from the Cramorant, and hope like nobody's business that this Blacephalon takes 2 prizes here. Oh, we've got a Welder though, so that's okay. We can potentially get out of it that way. Here comes a Jirachi. Yeah, that was silly. I should have just knocked out the Zacian. I don't know why I didn't do that. If I had done that, I wouldn't be in this position now where I have to hope that my opponent knocks out Cramorant. I mean, it looks like they're going to. It looks like they are about to knock this Cramorant out, and I'm happy about that, frankly. But there's always a risk. There's always a risk that they don't quite get there. I mean, Fire Crystal for 3 will do 75% of the job. So all I need to do is have 1 more energy in hand, and they'll take a knockout. But poof, I didn't need to risk it, frankly. Here's the Fireball Circus. We're going to see 4 energy into the bin. There's 200 damage. So we were not punished. We get to keep the win streak alive here. We'll be able to gust out that Zacian and win the game with Steam Crush. Let's do it very quickly so I don't mistakenly press the wrong button. Steam Crush, 240 damage. Managing to get a win against Blacephalon is no mean feat. That's pretty solid. Alright, now this is post-record image, okay? So those other 2 games I played live, but this one I didn't. I recorded it after the games that I'd played, but I stopped commentating. But I figured, since it's Eternatus, it's worth showing off how this deck can take, not knockouts, but can slow opponents' decks down. I think this is worth seeing. So I already know the outcome of this game, which is why I'm showing it to you. But I think it is definitely worth it. We've got a Volcanion to start with, and I'm going second, so it's perfect. But we get to see how this deck can take away a lot of flexibility from decks like Eternatus that don't have acceleration for energy. So if you come up against a deck like this playing Torkoal, then you're probably going to be able to get a win purely because your opponent just can't get what they need every turn. So our opponent here, I'll just commentate like I am live commentating. Going to use Pokemon Communication to get rid of Eternatus VMAX. That will potentially find them something like a Crobat, which they could use. I think they're going to need to thin down their hand a little bit more though, so there's probably going to be a couple of cards played. It's unlikely that we'll see a Crobat for 2, yet here it is. I forgot about that. Can't even get the commentary right when I've already seen the game. And just a pass. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and get rid of this energy with Crushing Hammer, and then also use the rest of our flexible attackers to get things done. We've got a bunch of energy with Energy Switch. We can discard one of those with Quick Ball to find Torkoal, and that Torkoal can be placed onto the bench and attached to the active. We've got a Welder off of a Pokégear as well, which is great. We probably want to keep that because we can potentially use it to draw some extra cards. We'll get rid of the energy with Crushing Hammer, or at least try to. Disappointing that we didn't. We will Welder. This is an awkward one. We could Welder the active, or we could Welder 2 energy to the bench and put ourselves in a position to have a powered attacker. We've got a Fire Energy on Volcanion. We've got a second Torkoal that we just got out of the blue. Flare Starter will give us access to another attacker next turn. If we want one, we can put all of them onto one of our Torkoals, or we can split them up. There's 3 on one and 2 on the other. Means that we can potentially get an attack off with both next turn. I predict that we will either get 30 damage from a Power Accelerator, or we'll get knocked out by an Eternatus VMAX. Either of those are okay. If it is Power Excel, which it might very well be, it's not a problem. We can just gust out the one. So here we go. knew this was going to happen. Power Accelerator will attach 2 energies to a benched Eternatus. No worries. Let's... we top deck a Crushing Hammer. I forgot about this. This is brutal. So we get the heads flip, and then we can attach to the bench, and then Gust, and then switch, and remove all of the energy from our opponent's field in a single turn. That's pretty good, if you don't mind me saying. And now, even though Eternatus has been going slowly, trying to conserve energy, they have lost 3 in a turn. It's really, really bad. It's really bad. Really bad. I can't remember what happens from this point on. I just remember that turn, and that's why I put it in, because it's pretty good. It's pretty good to get rid of that many energies, wouldn't you agree? Just comment below yes if you agree that that is pretty good. No context, just say yes. I will know that you have watched this video to this point. Like the video as well. Turbo Patch. Card that Eternatus doesn't normally play. They're going to accelerate some energy, get the Eternatus VMAX in play, and build their bench up from here. But they will need to find Switch and an energy attachment, and they'll need to do 230 damage to me, which is a lot. They've got themselves a Slowbro and nothing else. So we will just have the turn passed over to us. Grab a Welder off of this Pokégear here. Oh, pardon me. Or we just don't grab... I wonder why I did that. Maybe I'm going... Oh, right. Because I was like, I'll just go for research off of this Grains because I don't need anything else because I'm a brave boy. I'm predicting that I'm going to flip heads on this Crushing Hammer, and I didn't. So we'll just Steam Crush and take a couple of prizes here. And now we know that our opponent is going to be able to get their VMAX into the active. But we've already taken 2 prizes, and we're going to get rid of 2 of our opponent's energy next turn, guaranteed. So that's pretty good. That is pretty good. And they deal a ton of damage to us. We've got 230 HP. There's a concession. It's good, right? Yes. So there's a couple of games for you to show off how Torkoal can apply all that pressure. Like, they can get so many energy discarded so quickly. It is very, very tough to knock one out when they've got everything going their way. There's a lot to like about Torkoal. If you're looking for a deck that doesn't need Today, doesn't need Crobat, doesn't need any of those fancy cards, then this could be the deck for you. If you've enjoyed it, then check it out. It's in the description. You can copy it into PTCGO and play with it yourself. Subscribe as well as watching our other content. Like and do all of that good stuff. I'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Watch the other things and stuff around.